Good morning, gladiators. Today is October 26th, Monday. Today we will be taking notes on text structures, sequence, compare and contrast, and classification. And we will be doing this for the next 3 days following an exit ticket after we take notes. After you finish taking notes, please go to Schoology and take the text structure exit ticket number 1. So let's go over that now. Text structure is the way the author organizes his or her text. And so I have mapped it out for you. Today we'll be doing these 3, tomorrow these 2, and then day 3 will be the following 2. The first text structure is called classification. You guys are all aware of this. When you write research papers, you decide on a topic, and then your paragraphs have different main ideas. So you could have like a subheading here, and then you would support it with supporting details, and then your second paragraph, or I guess your third paragraph, would have a different subheading, a different main idea, and supporting details. So for instance, if you were researching cats, then your first body paragraph would be the history of cats. And then maybe you would talk about how they used to be worshipped as gods in Egypt a long time ago. And then maybe you would talk about exotic cats and how they're sold in the black market. And then maybe you would end with domestic cats and maybe how they're low maintenance and a popular pet. When you are reading or writing a text structure of classification, these are signal words that you should use or look for to determine this type of pattern. A lot of for examples, using the word classify or categories. You could say cats are categorized um, in many different ways. There are different types or kinds of cats. There's different groups. And so you would look for these signal words to determine that this passage or text or article is using the classification text structure. This is a graph that a lot of authors use to organize their text structure. So for instance, this would be maybe the title or the main topic of the article, and then this might be subheading 1 with supporting details, subheading 2 with supporting details. The second text structure, so I would like for you to write down classification, the definition, and then some signal words in your notes, in your L&B, under on the next available page or in the notes section. The second text structure that we will be using is chronological. The word chrono, it means time, or sequence. So this text structure would be organized in order by sequence or by time, and explains how things happen in order. Chronological order is also called sequence or time order. Why might an author use chronological order to write about this frog? So we know the frog develops in different stages and starts as a tadpole, and so maybe they would use this type of pattern to discuss frogs until their adulthood. Some signal words that this text structure uses, you would see first, then, after, finally, when, later, since, and now. And so make sure that you are reviewing these signal words so that you can identify this text structure when you see it or write. And so here's an example. First, you would crack a few eggs, then you would add some cheese, then you would cook on one side, then you would flip it and fold it and bake an omelet. So a lot of how-tos. If you remember, maybe in elementary, your teacher did the peanut butter and jelly sandwich how-to. That would be sequence or chronological text structure. So which paragraph is in chronological order? Pennsylvania has many historic sites. You can visit Revolutionary War sites like Valley Forge. You can also visit important locations from the Civil War, like Gettysburg. Finally, you can also see the site of the first oil well in Tootsieville. Tootsieville. Pennsylvania has many neat places to visit. Is this a sequence? Can you determine whether something happens first, second, third, or has some sort of chronological order? Or how about this paragraph? Through the ages, Pennsylvania has seen many interesting events. The state was founded in 1681 by William Penn. Later, Pennsylvania was the site of important Revolutionary War battles. After that, Pennsylvania was home to new factories during the Industrial Revolution. Today, Pennsylvania continues to make history. So now we see a paragraph with sequence. This paragraph is written in classification order. So it has different main ideas and supporting details. And here you could see some signal words showing how this paragraph is in chronological order. The last one that we are going to study, number 3, is compare and contrast. So here you would find the similarities, you compare things that are like, and the differences, you would contrast their differences. So as always, people use the idiom, they're apples and oranges. So how are these apples and oranges alike? They're both fruit, they both have skin, and how are they different? People don't eat the skin of oranges, and you can make oranges have more juice than apples. Some signal words that you have to know is on the contrary, in contrast to, as well as, similar to, yet, but, as opposed to, different than, nevertheless. On the other hand, can you find the clue words in this text? The cardinal and the cedar waxwing are two common birds. Both have crest on their heads. Both are common at bird feeders, but the birds have some differences. The male cardinal is a bright red, while the waxwing is brown. The cedar waxwing often migrates from place to place. On the other hand, the cardinal stays in one place year after year. And there are your signal words. When you write a compare and contrast essay, or you look at similarities and differences of one topic, you would use a Venn diagram. And we will be doing this today in our sketch journal. So what text structure is this? Chronological order, compare and contrast. We haven't learned these 3. Cause and effect, problem, solution, and description. So Daniel Sullivan was the first to notice the flames coming from the O'Leary barn at around 8:30 p.m. on October 8th. A problem with the alarm box made it impossible for the people in the area to call for the fire department. By 9:30 p.m., the entire block was blazing. In another 3 hours, there were fires all over Chicago. The heavy wind coming from the lakes only made the fire bigger. It would be another day before the fire would be completely out. By then, 17,500 buildings had been burned. Would this be classification, compare and contrast, or chronological order? Because of these signal words, we see that they are in chronological order. So now I'd like for you to go and take the exit ticket. You will be reading some passages just as we've done and determining whether they are one of the 3 text structures that we've learned, and then you will be matching the signal words with their correct text structure. So we are going to be reading this article called Total Control in North Korea. It talks about the life in North Korea, the education in North Korea, and how kids go to school and how they learn. And so after we read that, we're going to complete assignment 2 in our sketch journal. And so on page 4 and 5 in your sketch journal, you are going to compare and contrast the North Korean differences, our school differences, and the similarities between the two, our community and the North Korean community. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's see. The Communist Community of North Korea and the community of the giver. So I'll have to fix that. So I guess you can choose. No, let's do the giver. So this should be our school. This should be the giver. North Korean differences and our school, or let's do either or, the giver differences, okay, between the two. And then we're going to finish with reading chapter 4 of the giver. There are some audios here for you to use. Make sure you are taking notes of the events that are occurring, maybe some new characters that you have met. And I know that you still need to read more into the book to add to your 4 boxes here of the protagonist description. And so as you read, you can be updating assignment 1 in your sketch journal. And that's all we have for today. Gladiators, have a wonderful day.